All right. Some of you guys been begging me to do this, so here's my shitting on James Harden video. Yeah, he looked like yeah, he looked pretty bad against Golden State. Okay, and obviously the wrist injury is affecting his play. Okay, um, for the second time in a week, the Golden State Warriors defeated the Houston Rockets, and a lot of it had to do with James Harden's level of play. I think Houston has lost 3 consecutive games. That's the first time all season they've done that. Their record is now, I believe, 51-25. So they will not break the franchise record for most wins in a season. So 1993-94 will still go down as the greatest season in Houston Rockets history. Um, I, I'm not saying that when it comes down to the season ending, that and let's just say this. I'm not trying to say that as the season ends and as we come to the last few handful of games, that if James Harden's performance is being hampered by his wrist, then MVP voters should take that into consideration as well. They should not, because that's why I was saying people shouldn't use that as an excuse, because even James Harden is not using that as an excuse. He was like, that's just part of life. It's ups and downs. Just the same way, if Russell Westbrook had an injury, he was still able to play, but he was hurt. I would hope MVP voters would take that into consideration as to why he's not playing 100% right now. That shouldn't be an excuse. Because, especially considering that we are 70 games into the regular season, if we were still only 20, 30, 40, 50 games into the regular season, that's a different story. But that's just my opinion. There's also this thing too. There are some people who are Houston Rocket fans who feel that James Harden should take off these last couple of games and make sure that wrist heals completely, and just shut it down for the rest of the season. Not shut it down totally, but you guys get what I'm saying. Then there are other people who are more concerned, and I think this goes into James Harden as well. It goes with James Harden as well. He's more concerned about winning the MVP award. I think right now, unless James Harden really plays like, he really puts up some truly historic individual performances, I think the MVP is kind of slipped out of his grasp right now. You know what I mean? The individual games that Russell Westbrook had, the 57-point triple-double, the fake 101-point game I said he had his, oh boy. I like to prank around on April 1st, man. If y'all ain't sub to me, I do this almost every year. I remember I fooled a whole bunch of people thinking Michael Jordan was coming back a couple of years ago. But anyway, yeah, okay, James Harden's not playing very well, but he will eventually get past this injury. I've told that this is still a relatively minor injury, so this will heal, and he'll be back to the MVP form. It seems like this really is affecting. I'm going to tell you why I don't like to hear a lot of excuses when it comes to this. This is not exactly the same injury, but it seems as though this injury is really affect Harden's shooting, in particular his outside shooting. Michael Jordan had an injury to his finger, his shooting, a finger on his shooting hand, before the start of the 1997-98 season, and it negatively affected his shooting for the entire season. In particular, it affected his mid-range to outside shot. His three-point shot was severely affected by it. Coming into that season, Michael had shot 38% from three-point range the year prior. For that season, Michael only shot something like 23% from three, and he didn't take many at all. His mid-range game, Michael was shooting about 49% from mid-range, which is insane. That year, he shot 43%, which is still great and above average, but not up to Michael Jordan standards. So, but he still ended up winning the MVP award, and he didn't let his shooting hold him back. He adjusted. Okay, he was not as accurate from the field, but he did other things. Okay, he stopped taking as many outside shots. Even though he was an older player, he started driving to the basket a little bit more. He did other things to try to compensate. He tried to score a little bit more in the post. He did things to compensate. But anyway, that's just my take on it, man. Yeah, James Harden's not playing very well. The momentum is clearly on Russell Westbrook's side. Even though they lost the other night, they blew that 21-point lead they had against the Spurs. I think that Russell Westbrook still is the MVP leader right now, just based on the premise that he's doing more with less, I guess, so to speak. But you guys tell me what you think.